It was a beautiful performance from Vergil Ortiz. Here's basically the knockout punch that kind of ended it for Kavaliauskas. Kavaliauskas was kind of getting beat up to the body a little bit during the fight, but a lot of the boxing and a lot of the best power punches actually belong to Kavaliauskas. But we're going to kind of take a look at the kind of ending of the fight and the kind of crumbling of Kavaliauskas and kind of some of the things that went on during the course of the fight. That I thought were kind of interesting. Okay, so we're going to take a look. And not at this clip yet. We're going to take a look here. So here Kavaliauskas he's already hurt Vergil Ortiz. He's already caught him with a punch. Vergil Ortiz doesn't always set his punches up super well, but Kavaliauskas has already hurt Vergil Ortiz in this moment. But Vergil Ortiz, instead of backing down, right, and this is a really interesting idea because originally I had picked Kavaliauskas. Not only did I think he was going to land these first big power punches, countering over Vergil Ortiz's right hand, over his jab as well, but I thought he was actually going to hurt and knock Vergil Ortiz out, very likely. But we got to see something really interesting from Vergil Ortiz in strategy and setting up the body shots after being hurt almost every single time. As we can see here, he gets hit with that overhand right shot, and instead he opens up some space on the front foot with that right hand there to keep Kavaliauskas on the outside to allow him to get into position to counter him with this body shot. Beautiful rhythm and timing and use of that punch to open up space while he's hurt. Obviously getting beat on the line with that punch, but trying to open up some space to find the position to land that shot. A beautiful shot. And we're going to take a look at a few more times when he does similar stuff. Now, here he is again at the end of the second round. And sitting on the front foot, waiting for Kavaliauskas to come into his line. Again, landing an excellent shot right there, and then enough to start pushing Kavaliauskas back. Now, with Kavaliauskas not getting credit for his knockdown, it's easy to see that the scorecards could have been a little bit more wide than they should have been because it was actually a really great fight. But here, again, we have Vergil Ortiz throwing that right hand, getting countered here by the left hook, and then he's going to throw his jab here. Boom, right there, kinda. But getting countered over the top of that position, which is a very similar position he'd be in if he had thrown his jab. And that's what I wanted to point out here, is that Vergil Ortiz was not always protecting his punches super well, not protecting his position super well, and Kavaliauskas was able to hit him a lot. Now, good thing for Vergil Ortiz that he is so big for this division, because Kavaliauskas was really putting it on him in this fight in a lot of these situations. Again, landing another overhand right over that jab. And Vergil Ortiz had a pretty decent jab in this fight. He was able to make it effective, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that on Patreon a little bit when we do the live fight or the full fight coverage, but this is only going to be a little bit of the film study. But again, landing those right hands over the top of that jab from Vergil Ortiz. And then Vergil Ortiz, again, able to set up the body shot. Again, after being hurt, finding a way to get his way to the front foot and get his way across Kavaliauskas' line to find himself into a position to land an excellent body shot again, hurting Kavaliauskas and stopping Kavaliauskas from really taking advantage of those powerful punches that he was able to land and really make Vergil Ortiz pay for those kinds of punches, those kinds of jabs. Now, right after that, Vergil Ortiz lands an excellent left uppercut here. Not to the body, but to the head that actually drops Kavaliauskas. A beautiful, beautiful shot. A 1-2 or a 1-1-2 into a left uppercut to the head. Now, most people throw that shot to the body, and Kavaliauskas may have been expecting this to be a body shot as well, but winds up clipping him with that shot. And again, the body shot's really doing a lot of work here in allowing the headshots to start landing as well. So Vergil Ortiz, I don't want to say saved, but really putting in a lot of work with those body shots and showing how valuable it is. Even if you're being outboxed, even if you're losing, I don't want to say in the middle of the ring or whatever, but like he was, losing in the most important engagements to those power punches, you can still make up for a lot of it with the body shots. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the last clip here, and it's Kavaliauskas. This is the second knockdown in the 8th round, and I think this is the most pivotal one. It's the one that really gave Ortiz the momentum to keep getting those punches in, right? Dropping Kavaliauskas and getting the knockout, right? Because Vergil Ortiz, in my breakdown, I talk about how he's not really a one punch knockout artist. He's a volume puncher. He doesn't really get all his weight into his punches, but he can throw a lot of punches. And here, he's able to feint with the lead hand, feint with the rear hand, get Kavaliauskas into position to block a body shot, right? And look at Kavaliauskas prepared for that body shot. He's been eating them all night long. And then finally, Vergil Ortiz comes up to the top and throws that hook to the head instead, and drops Kavaliauskas. A beautiful, beautiful shot. Boom, boom, boom. And to me, that was one of the most pivotal adjustments for Vergil Ortiz. Had he not been making that adjustment and allowed Kavaliauskas to get off the ropes there and block the body shot, he may not have been able to get the stoppage and still may wind up getting hurt in the fight, and even possibly getting stopped himself. Now, he was coming on pretty strong in the 8th round and doing a great job, but it was a very, very close fight. Kavaliauskas is a very, very, very dangerous fighter, and Crawford taking that guy, and nobody really knowing who he is and getting dropped himself didn't do Crawford any favors. Didn't let people know that Kavaliauskas was a real player in the division. And behind Crawford, I had Kavaliauskas as very likely the number 2 welterweight in the division, above Porter, above Danny Garcia, above Thurman, above Spence. I think Kavaliauskas is a very, very, very talented fighter. He's a very tough fight for anyone in the division. And I think that if anybody was going to be able to beat him that was not Terence Crawford, it was going to be Vergil Ortiz. He's kind of a little bit more dynamic, orthodox version of Errol Spence with the pressure, but he had much more head movement in this fight than normal, much better positioning, and he made some adjustments, something that he hadn't shown in his previous fights, his ability to move his head after shooting his jab, on beat and on rhythm. So sometimes he was still getting caught by the overhand rights, but he was never caught by the kind of slower ones, right? We talked about Manny Pacquiao having to always shoot his jab before he shoots his left-hand counter. That's going to be a huge problem against Ugas, by the way. If he has to do that against Ugas, he's going to get smacked up. And I think I talked a little bit about it in Patreon about Kavaliauskas sometimes having the habit of shooting his jab before his counter. And that gave Vergil Ortiz a lot of time in some of those spots when he would shoot his jab to be able to get his head out of the place of the counter. So anyway, a beautiful fight from Vergil Ortiz. I learned a lot about him and who he wants to be as a fighter. And, I was already a fan. I was already in a position where I'm not going to be missing any Vergil Ortiz fights. And now I'm at a point where I want to see him fight the best. I think that beating Kavaliauskas, there's no better test in the welterweight division for if you're ready for, and I don't think Kavaliauskas is a test. I think he's, champion quality fighter. I can't wait to see where Vergil Ortiz goes next. Maybe he'll get to fight Errol Spence with Errol Spence sitting on the sidelines, right, with no opponent. Maybe he'll fight the winner of Pacquiao Ugas next week, right, because their training camps are on a similar schedule, right? They both just fought. Get them in the ring next. Again, that doesn't bode well for Terence Crawford getting left out in the cold, but, what can you do? Get stuck fighting Porter. I don't know. Anyway, as soon as I can find a good copy of this fight, we're going to be watching it. If I don't find it, I'll probably just watch it tomorrow on Patreon. But we'll be doing a full fight film study and breakdown and talking about some stuff. And there's already some stuff that I've noticed in the fight that I think that Vergil Ortiz did very well. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks.